Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. Today, I will be talking about veganism, why I became a vegan, what is veganism, and why I feel like it is the best way to monetize my health currently, and what my goal is and what my future goals are. So, veganism, let's dive right into it. So initially, everybody knows we're taught to eat a certain way when we're born. We're conditioned this way: breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals a day, sometimes more. And then we eat a regular American diet, a SAD diet, which is meat, raw meat, red meat, well, not raw meat, meat, red meat, chicken, beef, you name it, pork, all these type of things, right? Now, I ate these things as well. Eating these things for me caused a lot of health issues. So at the age of 15, 16, 17, I was over 250 pounds from eating frozen pizzas, Hot Pockets, pizza rolls. These were some, mind you, a lot of these things, I love pizza. It was one of my favorite foods, and it still is in some form. But these are one of the things that made me gain weight and made me very unhappy and very depressed with who I was and how I looked, right? Because I wasn't getting attention, because I wasn't getting these things from women and all sorts of things and sorts of aspects, right? So this caused a lot of depression for me. It also led to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and just overall obesity. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, high blood pressure, you got to take your pills every day. You got to take your pills every day. Because at the time, I did not know what else to do besides take the medication. By the way, I took hydrochlorothiazide, which is a medication for high blood pressure to help manage it. Now, what they don't tell you, what the doctors don't tell you, is the actual reverse way to make high blood pressure go away, or to even lessen it, and just whatever else. Even if it doesn't completely go away, you can completely lessen it to make it a non-factor in your life to where it won't damage your health, because high blood pressure can, cause blindness. It can cause a lot of heart issues. It can cause a lot of issues, with your motor skills, with everything inside of you, right? So me not knowing this at all, I didn't know what the fuck high blood pressure was when I got diagnosed with it. And I got high cholesterol around the same time period. So, and high cholesterol was from eating a whole bunch of salt and things with a whole bunch of salt intake into. I was eating chips, I was eating things with high salt. So I was being conditioned to believe that the only way to solve your problems with health was to take medication prescribed by a doctor and still eat the same things. Now, what they don't tell you is the cure to high blood pressure and high cholesterol, diabetes, things of this nature. Thank God I was never, diagnosed with diabetes. I've never really eaten a whole bunch of sugar like that or anything like that. So I've never been really big into diabetes. And when it would have been diagnosed around that same time period, I started eating better and losing weight. Fortunately, I wasn't diagnosed with diabetes, so I had a little time period where I could right the wrongs. And of course, I was taking the medication. But what they don't tell you is the cure to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes is don't eat fuck shit. It's that simple. You have a cause and effect. The cause is the shit you were eating. The effect is all these health issues that you now have to manage for the rest of your life, because you don't know. The doctors don't tell you, hey, this is how you got it. Stop eating this shit. Or if you're telling a young person, don't eat this shit in the first place, so you won't have to deal with all these health issues in the future, especially if you're eating it all in excess. So for me, that was a wake-up call to where I was discovering things like vegetarianism and veganism. So when I started discovering those, I started like, wow, like I can eat healthier. And at first it was hard, because I was a vegetarian for 6 months in 2019. And it was very new for me. I remember it was very hard at first because I didn't know what to eat. So the first 6 months of being a vegetarian, I'm vegan now, by the way. So the first 6 months of why I was vegetarian, it was just for better health, for losing weight. It was for all the wrong reasons, right? It was for all the wrong reasons. And then I went to Dallas, Texas, and I always wanted to eat Jack in the Box, In-N-Out Burger and stuff like that. So when we were in there and I didn't have any food to eat, I didn't know what to eat because I didn't know what I could eat. I didn't research. I just went blind and said, I'm going to be vegetarian now, not knowing what I could eat. So I went in there like that. I wasn't even eating fish, by the way, or chicken or anything like that. I was strictly that, but I was eating cheese and I was eating milk, dairy, all that type of thing, right? That's what I was still eating. And I went into it blind, and I got messed up because when I was in Dallas, Texas, I started eating Jack in the Box. I started eating beef again. I started eating chicken again. I still cut out pork. Pork was something that I cut out long ago, years before this happened, because I was Rastafari, for those of you that don't know, and I was also associating with the Nation of Islam and Muslims. So, and their whole thing was not eating pork, and that just instilled into me, especially all the disease and everything that's in a pig. So I decided long before this happened to not eat pork. And when all this happened, I never reverted back to eating pork, even in this time frame. And I didn't become vegan again. So I lasted from like January. So as a vegetarian, I lasted from January to August, right? And it was a really tough time because I didn't know what to eat. And in that time frame, I was finding stuff out about myself and realizing I was doing stuff for the wrong reasons. So when I went back to meat, and I went back to meat from August to, I believe, April of 2020. So it was definitely a time frame for me where I had to get my shit together, you know, and I started in that time period of where I was eating meat again. I researched a lot more. I did a whole lot of things that I wasn't doing in the first place. I was researching, I was understanding, I was seeing things, I was making things, like understanding things from a whole different perspective, opening my eyes basically. And in that, I realized that eating meat is completely wrong. When I say wrong, I mean wrong for me, wrong for our bodies, wrong in general as far as killing animals. A lot of people get up in arms about sacrificing animals and things of that nature, but they have a strong disconnect when it comes to actually eating the animals, especially when animals being killed that we consume are tortured and killed in a worse way than what a sacrifice would be, which is like cutting off the head of the animal that is already alive. And when a cow or a pig or a chicken is made in a manufactory, it is going through way worse things than what a sacrifice goes through. So there's a strong disconnect of having sympathy for the animal being sacrificed, but still wanting to consume animals that people go through. And there was a lot of videos, documentaries that I watched, YouTube videos that I watched that helped me see the light on all these things. And I was changing energy-wise as well. So that helped as well. So there was one video in particular I remember that stood out to me, The Greatest Speech Ever, or The Best Speech Ever by Gary Yourofsky, in which he talked about veganism and why you should be vegan, why it's wrong for your body, and all the excuses people give on why you should be eating meat. And he gives a counteractive to that. So for example, supplements, vitamins, low iron people give, or it's too expensive. He would give all these reasons of why you should be vegan and why you should not eat meat. And that hit me a lot because it was like an hour-long video. I almost watched a full hour. I damn near did. I think I watched like 45 to 50 minutes of it. And everything he gave, and then he also showed a video of animals being slaughtered and tortured in manufactories to where they get the milk, they kill the chickens, they kill the cows, they kill the pigs, they kill the lamb, they kill whatever else people eat, right? So they were showing that, and they said if you can eat the food, then you should be able to watch the food being made. What happens to these animals? And that was a big, because a lot of people, they watch these videos or they're showing these videos and they still eat the meat, but you have to be able to see it. And for the first time, I saw it spiritually, and it woke me up. You know, it was one of those things where I saw it 5-dimensionally. There's a lot of people in this world that have to see things 3-dimensionally with their eyes, with their ears, with their touch, for it to be real, for it to understand. And some people will see things like that and not see it, but I saw it 5-dimensionally with my spirit of what was going on and how it was wrong. And then also going into all that, it was just like, man, understanding digestion and understanding how long meat and red meat and just beef and chicken and all these, how long these things takes to digest. And then even the misconception of breakfast, lunch, and dinner and how we need 3 meals a day and all these things I started researching and understanding and learning. And it just hit me differently than what it would a few years ago. That's why I say everybody has their own individual truths. And then the truth is also a distant memory. So when somebody says something and you're like, whoa, it's not like it's something so profound. It's just something that you can finally see that was always there. And it's always a distant memory. You're just being reminded of something you already know. That's how I view the truth now. So when I saw that, I was just like, this is a truth. Because when I was eating meat, I have my own truth. Everybody that eats meat has their own truth of, oh, meat is good for you. Eating meat is good for me. I'm on a diet. I'm eating meat. I work out. I need my protein. I need meat. I need all this type of thing, right? So you have your own truth. And then eventually you grow out of your own truths and you start forming your own individual truths instead of the truths that you're being forced to believe. Right? Especially when you start doing your own research and you start coming up with your own conclusions and all this type of thing, right? So my new truth was that eating meat was wrong. And there was this video, I remember, I watched a bunch of things like Seaspiracy, Cowspiracy. I watched a bunch of things. And there was one video in particular where they were talking about energy, where they said, energy doesn't die, it just transforms. You know, it never dies, it transforms. So when you eat the energy, all the energy that an animal was feeling when it was tortured, when it was dying, when it was afraid, you are eating that fear, that torture, you're eating all that energy. Why are you eating the rotting carcass, the cooked carcass of a living animal? Why are you eating that? Energy-wise, it's messing up your energy. It's diluting your energy. And and Erykah Badu said this, by the way, in a video. So when I heard that, and Erykah Badu is somebody that I look up to, so when she said that and I understood, and I was just like, I have to stop. I have to stop. Because this new energy I was on, I've always been aware, but then understanding and seeing things from a different perspective instead of the forced way that this is how we're supposed to see it. And then you start going off into different things, and it's just like, I see things differently and clearer now, you know. And it's just like, I don't see it in the mass production way. I don't see it in the mass perception. I see it in all these different things. And this is actually, it's wrong for our body. It's wrong for our mind. It's wrong for our spirit. It's wrong for our energy. It's not good for our digestion system. It's not. And it's, once I started understanding all of this, I made the commitment. I knew it was going to be a tough commitment, but I made the commitment. So when I made this commitment, I gorged myself basically on all the meats and all the stuff that I knew I wasn't going to eat anymore, because I knew that was one of the ways that because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have no stone left unturned, that I wasn't going to crave anything, that I wasn't going to, oh, I need this, I need that. Because one of the things I ate a lot was cereal. I ate a lot of cereal, which regular milk. And then I ate a lot of cheese. I loved cheese pizza, cheese everything, cheese fries, all that type of thing, right? I ate a lot of that. I ate a lot of burgers. I ate a lot of chicken just to get it out of my system, make sure I wouldn't crave these things anymore, right? I wanted to make sure I got it from all of my favorite places to make sure I wouldn't crave, oh, I want chicken from this place, or I want a burger from this place. I would make sure I would gorge myself. Now this, I don't know if everybody did it this way when they went into veganism, but for me, this worked for me. So I gorged myself, and then in April of 2020, I completely stopped eating all meat, all chicken, fish, all beef, all anything meat. I stopped eating everything dairy. I stopped eating cheese, milk. I stopped eating honey. I stopped eating a bunch of everything, right? And the first 6 months of it was a little hard, but at this time I was researching more what I could actually eat, what alternative meats I could eat. Instead of going into it blind like I did in 2019 as a vegetarian, this time as a vegan, I knew that my path was going to be different, and I knew the right things to be eating, alternative meats, at least to start out as, right? Because there's different forms of veganism. And there's raw veganism, there's fruitarian, there's all these type of things that basically are in the realm of veganism. So, which is not eating meat, dairy. So I took off with the alternative meats, the alternative burger meats, the plant-based, all this type of thing I was eating, and that sustained me for a while until I realized, until I realized that some of the things were still high in salt, which for high blood pressure is not good. And I still had high blood pressure, was suffering from this. So even though I was eating not meat, I was still not eating healthy. So I was eating a lot of salt intake, because the alternative meats need to have a lot of salt to give it a similar taste to the regular meat. Because when you transfer over, a lot of people, they don't want to eat cardboard, they don't want to eat salads all the time, right? That's one of the things that people don't transfer over from eating meat to vegetarianism or veganism, is that because they feel like being a vegan, you have to eat salads all the time. And that's not true, especially with the big expansion and popularity of alternative meats. So I realized once I started having headaches all the time from eating vegan alternatives to everything, I was just like, okay, in this 6 month to a year period, I was not craving any meat. I was not craving any dairy, cheese. There would be people around me eating it and I would never crave it. I would never be like, oh, I wish I had that again. I never, because my energy was different now. My mind was different. I wasn't just doing it as a diet. I wasn't doing it as I'm trying to lose weight. I wasn't doing it as I was doing it as I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to eat the right foods for my body, for me, mentally, spiritually. So it wasn't any fad type of thing where I'm trying to do anything. So I had all the right reasons. So I had no temptation. I had no temptation to eat anything that was around me, whether it was my partner eating whatever it was, or a friend eating, doing this and offering me something, and I'm saying no. It was never any temptation of like, oh, maybe I should just, no, it was never. I never had a craving. I never had a temptation, and I still don't. So, and that's a plus for me. And because I realized the error of my ways and the error of eating meat and what it did for me back then, and what not eating meat and not eating dairy does for me now. It's just a whole different playing field for me, the energy wise. Just I feel cleaner, and that's what it was too when I first started my vegan journey, is that I feel cleaner, I feel lighter, I feel healthier, because you feel so sluggish because your body has to carry all of this stuff that it doesn't need inside of you. And one of the things that they said that they would use as an excuse was, we're carnivores. And one of the things Gary Yursky in the video showed, he showed that, okay, look at the teeth of a carnivore, look at the teeth of a human. The human has more of a teeth as a herbivore than a carnivore. If you're a carnivore, then I want you to not eat the cooked meat and go into the wild, find you a rabbit, find you an animal, and bite into it and eat it raw, because that's what carnivores do. And that was one of the things that always stuck with me too, because I've actually heard people say we're carnivores, and that's misinformation through schooling and through all that type of thing. Because we just believe what we're told until we're shown something different. We believe that truth until we're shown a different truth. And when I was shown all these truths, it was just like it all sit with me, and it still all sits with me. That's why I'm able to recollect for you all these videos, all these speeches, all these documentaries that I saw that brought me to this point into my spiritual journey, to where I'm like, I don't need this. I don't have any temptation. I don't have, and it was just for me, it was just like, I'm here and I'm happy, and I don't have any craving. Where I'm at with it is just that I'm still eating alternative meats, but I'm also incorporating more fruit, because I'm also watching more videos of people that just eat fruit, that just eat nuts, grains, fruits, seeds, all these type of things that they eat on a raw vegan diet or on some type of healthier lifestyle, whether it's vegetables, not eating at all, for some people. And that inspires me, because I realize that there's levels to it. So where I'm at now is incorporating fruit and more vegetables, and more I use a juicer as well for what I don't want to eat, or I intermit fruits into my meals. Instead of eating a meal of, let's say, a stir fry with a pasta and then a bunch of vegetables in it, I might just eat the vegetables, right? Or I might just eat some fruit, right? Or I might just eat some nuts, right? So it's a growing journey, but where I want to go with it and where I'm about to be with it, honestly, because now mentally and spiritually, I feel like I've outgrown even the alternative meat stage, to where I feel like I could jump into, not full force where I'm going to be like, I can't eat anything, but full force to where, dipping my toe into the realm of, I could eat just fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, and I'll be fine. Because at first there's this, like I said, food is an addiction. So at first there's this need of, oh, you're used to eating more. Why aren't you eating more? And a lot of people say, well, you need protein, you need that. You don't need any of that stuff because your body produces protein. You don't need carbs. Carbs is basically water and carbon, and you're both of those things. Your body produces both of those things. So why do you need carbs? You don't lose minerals when you work out. You don't, there's a whole lot of misconceptions in veganism that you can't gain muscle, that you can't, there's a whole bunch of misconceptions. You can't gain muscle. You can't have a strong iron base. You can't, there's a whole bunch of things that, and if you eat vegetables, which have a lot of iron, spinach, broccoli, there's a whole bunch of things that have iron in them. If you eat them, because one of the things, another thing that Gary Yorsky said is that if meat had everything that you needed iron-wise, why is there an aisle full of supplements and vitamins giving you iron, giving you all these things that supposedly eating meat is supposed to do for you? But eating things that are from the earth, which is my main goal, eating things which is from the earth is something that is better for you. These things that we're eating, they're manufactured over time by human, right? They're taking animals from the earth, they're manufacturing it their own way, killing it, slaughtering it, manufacturing it, cooking it their own way, and then they're serving it to us and telling us to eat these animals. Instead of eating things that are from the earth, which we're pickers, we're gatherers, and in our TV show, we're supposed to be eating softer things. It was April of 2020 when I started my vegan journey, and it will be, I would say, 2 years now. It will be 2 years in April in 2022. And it's been a very easy journey for me. Very, very easy journey. The only thing I would say that is hard is trying to find things with less salt intake because of my high blood pressure. Because it can still, like I said, because even though you're vegan does not mean you're healthy. You're just not eating meat. So you're healthier than what you were, but you're not healthy. You're not eating lively. You're not eating to live. You're not eating alkaline. You're not eating from the earth still, even though you're eating alternative meats. So that's the goal for me in the future. In the near future is to eat alkaline, eat from the earth, eat fruit, eat vegetables more, eliminate the alternative meats, eliminate all that type of thing, and just jump into that and just be as healthy as possible. I can't undo the damage that was already done from when I was eating meat and all the high salt intake and all this type of thing in the past. But what I can do is make sure that it doesn't affect my future as much as it can, or as much as it did in the past. I vowed to myself to never let myself gain weight again, to never let myself get over a certain amount of weight, to never let myself feel the way I felt when I was overweight, when I was obese, right? When I ate pizza all the time, ate cereal with my pizza all the time, and I was just eating weird combinations that were making me gain weight as well. So it's just one of those things that now I'm at peace with. I'm at peace. I forgive myself for what I did to my body, and hopefully what I did to my body in the past doesn't have any repercussions too much on what I will be feeling like in the future. But my goal from here on out is to make sure that I take care of my body, I nurture it, and I make sure it has everything it needs, and I supply it with everything that it desires to live a healthy and clean lifestyle, and also have fun with it. I don't want it to be boring. I don't want it to, because I want to be able to look at food as just a means to an end. Meaning that it's something that I might need to supply me with energy every once in a while. That's the goal, to live without food. That's the ultimate goal, because I know people that do live without food and they're fine, and they drink coconut water and minerals and stuff like that. And and they live off air because we're almost like living plants. We take in air and oxygen and things from plants and from the air around us, and we take it into our body. It can sustain us, but we don't understand that. We don't understand that, and because we're so shut off to it, we won't understand it, and we won't be able to, because you have to spiritually see it. We'll still be like, no, I'm craving these things. I'm craving this, I'm craving that. And if you join on the vegan journey, understand that you might go through, detoxes as far as your cravings for meat and chicken. You might go through detoxes of staying up later or going to sleep earlier or anything of this nature, because your body's detoxing from all that meat, all that energy that you were taking in from your body. And even if you're eating alternative meats and you're jumping into something else like lighter, like fruits and vegetables only and nuts only, then understand your body's going to detoxify because you're used to eating a certain amount of food, a certain portion. You're used to eating a certain thing. So your body's going to be craving those things for the first few days, first week or so. So understanding that and knowing that, that's good to understand and know, and then jumping right into it. Maybe some people can do it. Some people can jump right into things, and some people can inch their way in. Some people have to dip their toe in. But for me, it's one of those things where I know what I need to do for my body, and I never force people to be vegan. I never say what you're doing is wrong. I used to. When I first became vegan, I used to say you are wrong. I used to. But that was me trying to control. That was me not understanding, basically. I used to say that you were wrong for eating meat and I'm right for not eating meat. I'm more holier than you, basically. And a lot of vegans have that mentality of wanting to feel like they're better than somebody. We're not better than anybody, because even though we're not eating meat, and even though you feel like eating animals are wrong, you're still not eating healthy. So you're not right, right? So it's a whole ego thing in there as well when you start living healthier than other people. And I used to feel like that, and now I understand where people are at, and that's growth in spirituality too, is that I understand where people are at in their phases and in their truths. I understand people's truth. Everybody's truth isn't your truth. You can't expect everybody to think and feel like how you do it, and how you feel is how everybody else should feel. Everybody has their own truth because everybody spiritually is on a different journey and at a different point in that journey, right? So to look down upon somebody for eating meat, I don't judge them. I don't feel like I can't be their friend. I don't feel like anything is wrong with them. I just feel like they have a misunderstanding of what meat is, what meat does for the body, and what not eating meat does for the body and energy. And once they understand that, I could point them in a direction of spiritual stuff of that nature, and I could point them in the direction of documentaries of things that maybe that helped open my eyes. But I can't make anybody, I can't wrong anybody for doing these things. I can't feel like I'm better than anybody, because I'm not. I'm not. We all started out eating meat. It's a fact, because we are all raised to believe this is how you eat. So when you see somebody still feeling and thinking this way, don't look down upon them, don't shun them, don't shit on them, don't talk about them. Just understand where they are at in their journey, because you were at the same point. And I understand that. And I understand the gravity of what I have and the responsibility. I really don't like talking about it, my vegan journey, I should say. I really don't like talking about it, because when I say I'm vegan, a lot of people ask me questions, or a lot of people react like, what, how can you not eat? And I just don't like getting into it all the time and explaining, because people are so negative about it, and people are so, they crack jokes about it. It is funny or whatever, but it's just, I don't really like getting into it sometimes, because just like, I don't really like explaining myself all the time now at this point in my life, where I feel like I have to explain myself to people all the time. I've grown past that in my journey, where I feel like I have to explain myself. I just am vegan. And if I feel like explaining it to you, I will. Especially if I feel like you are really lost, or you have a really misunderstanding or misconception of what veganism is. And I don't really like to say veganism, but it's a popular word. I like to say plant-based. Veganism was a word created by the white man. But for all intents and purposes, I am, by popular phrase, a vegan. So I'm very happy with it. And if you want to join on a vegan journey, just make sure you do your research first and foremost beforehand, because you need to understand what you're getting into, what your body is going to go through, what your body is going through now while you're eating meat, the digestion process, all these things you should understand, right? I recommend Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy. I recommend Gary Yourguy's greatest speech of all time, or greatest speech ever. I would recommend a bunch of things, but those 3 things are the first things that you should watch before anything else. And then it's going to lead you down a rabbit hole of a whole bunch of other things that's going to open your eyes, open your third eye, pineal gland. It's going to open a bunch of things for you that you might not have seen before. And understand that veganism isn't the way. It's not the only way. It's one of the ways to a healthier lifestyle, and it's the beginning step to a healthier lifestyle. But that's what it is, a step to a healthier lifestyle. It's not the end all be all. Being vegan isn't completely healthy, especially if you're just eating alternative meats. The way to eating healthy is to sustain yourself. Is to transition to eating from the earth, alkaline. right? But I hope this video was very informational for you, and I hope you gained something from it. And I gained a lot actually from talking about it. That's what these videos do for me. They're very freeing, speaking my truth to everybody on the internet. So I hope that you gain some type of knowledge, information, or understanding of me from this video.